The pigeon is staring at me. Why is he staring at me? Short and sweet. I don't have any. Hopefully it has worked. Otherwise, we're frogging it and we're ripping it all back. Hi, Jordan. Hope you enjoy skipping over so much of this video because you decided you didn't want to see these presents. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Thank you. Be ready with a round of applause. Not sponsored, but Coca-Cola sponsored me. Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here or you just need a refresher, I'm Ollie and I'm the one-woman show behind the Walleeze channel. And I like to talk a lot, which is exactly why I started this YouTube channel and subsequently this podcast, so I can go on and on and on about my hobbies, specifically knitting in this case, and everyone has to listen. Or I guess they can just leave, but the people that choose to stay have to listen. So, or I guess you could zone out. You're here, and that's what matters. Let's move on. So I've got some interesting things for you today. I don't have any finished objects as per usual, but I do have the classic Salty Days sweater and 3 new cast-ons, guys. 3 new cast-ons. Are you proud of me? Are you proud of my lack of impulse control? Because I am. I really am. But yeah, I say let's just get right into it because I don't know how long I'm going to talk. Some of this I have a lot to talk about and some of this I don't. You'll see what I mean shortly. So, like I said before, jumping right into finished objects, I have none. So we are going to breeze right past finished objects and we are going to move into works in progress. Because I have 4 this week, guys. I have 4. So first up is the one that you have been seeing for the past weeks. How many podcasts is it? This is number 6. So you've been seeing this for 6 podcasts now. But hold on. It's really cold out. My nose starts randomly running and I felt like it was running, but it's not. Okay. So first up is the Salty Days sweater by Veronica Lindbergh, aka Kudubakika. I'm going to talk about it a little because if you're new here, this is my boyfriend's Christmas present. So what I do is I put a little warning for him and I show it for very briefly and I talk about it very quickly and then I put it down and I continue talking about it just without showing it because he watches these and I don't want him to skip like a large chunk of the video just because I'm showing it the whole time, but I also don't want him to see it. So that's our happy medium where we're landing currently. So I'm knitting it up in Malabrigo Rios in the colorway Wales Road, which is 100% superwash merino. I'm knitting it on 5.5 millimeter needles to meet gauge. And I realized that I don't think I've ever said what size I'm knitting it up in. I'm knitting it in size small, which sounds absurd because it's for my boyfriend, but this pattern has so much like positive ease put into it. So it is all fine in the end. I actually tried it on. That was a loud car horn that I could hear through my closed window, but whatever. I tried it on. Where was I? I was trying it on and it was actually huge on me. It swallowed me up. If I were knitting it up for myself, I don't think I'd be very happy with how it's working out because it's just too big. But I'm gonna show it. So this is my official boyfriend warning. I'll leave a timestamp for you, my dear, right here, and you jump right there, and I'll be done talking about it. I'll be done showing it then, okay? So now that he's gone, let's grab it. Which way is the back? Where's the top of it? Oh, there it is. It's like all topsy-turvy and flipped around because I'm knitting on the sleeve. But here we go. Look at that. Isn't it so cool? I think this is the first sweater that I've ever knit. I know, crazy, right? This is the first sweater that I've ever knit, and I think it's so cool how it just starts to look more and more like a sweater the more and more that you knit. So let's show it one more time. And this is, let me just show specifically the sleeve. There we go. Nope, not me. Don't focus on my sweater, focus on the sweater I'm showing you. Okay, yep, so in the pattern, the actual pattern calls for just a bunch of twisted rib until you get, not twisted rib, 1x2 rib until you get down to here. Then you do the lace and then you do the cuff. But I'm in the Salty Days Knit Along that Morgan Unraveled and Haley Space are hosting, and somebody posted a modification where they put the lace and the cables in there instead, and I really liked that, so that's exactly what I'm doing, and I think it was such a good choice. Everything's really cinched right now with the cables and the ribbing, just because it's not blocked, but I think it looks so good. Okay, I'm assuming that my boyfriend is back now because I would have put this timestamp. So I'm done showing it for now, so I hope you got a good look. I hope you have it stuck in your brain. But as you can see, I'm almost done with the sleeve. In the pattern, it calls for Italian bind off on the body hem and then the cuffs. I did not do it on the body hem. I just did a normal stretchy bind off on the body cuff because I did open twisted rib. So I didn't do something that normally would be done with Italian bind off, and I didn't want to do setup rows or anything, so I just did a stretchy bind off. But for the cuffs, I am going to do Italian bind off. I have never done Italian bind off before, so I will be learning for the very first time how to do Italian bind off. Am I a little bit nervous? Yes. But have I watched videos on it, and it looks fairly simple once I feel like it's kind of like the Kitchener stitch. I'll just have to memorize the repeat and get the movement into my body. But I feel like that little learning curve is going to be a little bit of a struggle, but I think once I get it and I get past that initial hump and I can start focusing on my tension and things like that, I feel like we'll get into a really good groove and it will be fun. Plus, it's on like a sleeve cuff, so it's a much smaller circumference here than obviously like if you were doing like, I was about to just like flash you on accident, than if you were doing the hem of a sweater, like the body hem of a sweater, you know what I mean? It's a much smaller circumference, so if it is too fiddly or anything like that, at least it's a much smaller circumference and it won't be too difficult for me to handle. One of the things that I am facing with this is that obviously lace and cables they really bloom in blocking, so you can obviously see them. My roommate just left, so my room is right by the flat door, so they always can hear me right when they're leaving. So I didn't know if they were going to the kitchen that way or if they were leaving, and they were leaving. So now that we're back, I can focus again. Obviously lace and cables really bloom in blocking. That's really their time to shine. So especially with cables, they kind of are really tight until they get blocked, and then everything sort of loosens up. A little bit with lace, but not quite as intensely. And so I am having a little bit of trouble gauging how long to make these sleeves, because my boyfriend asked that they be 26 inches, but I realized that I have no way of like measuring that, what he measured, to like this, and I can't even like try it on and try to guess, you know what I mean? So what I'm doing instead is I have one of his favorite hoodies here, again with the really loud car honk, my god. Anyways, I have one of his favorite hoodies here, and I just measured that, and I've been comparing it to this sleeve to try to get them around the same length, so that way they're generally the same. The one on the sleeve on his hoodie is 23 inches long, and right now my sleeve is measuring, I think yesterday it was measuring at 15, just completely untouched, 17 if I stretch it the way I'm planning on in blocking. I have 2 inches of ribbing to do. I think I'm gonna do 2.5 to 3, somewhere around there, depending on like the visual of it. I don't want the ribbing to be like intense, you know what I mean? I don't want it to be like a whole block of ribbing like this. Although now that I'm looking at like this sweater, the ribbon is pretty. How long is that? It's about 2 inches, 2.5 inches. Yeah, so I don't really want to do it much more than 2.5, but we'll have to see. But even then, that will only get me to like 17 to 19 inches. So I don't know exactly how much it's going to grow. So, because if I was going to add length anywhere, it would be in that little section of just 1x2 rib. And I've obviously already passed that. And I just really want to see how much it's going to grow in blocking. But I didn't want to do a mid-project block because I'm kind of in a rush with this. And honestly, I'd rather have it done, him try it on, and it's passable, or something he actually is like, oh yeah, this is actually a decent length. I don't want to make it sound like I'm just like brushing it off, but I don't know how to explain it, because it's like, I just don't have him here to like try it on and gauge and be like, oh, this is how far I gotta pull it when I'm blocking and stuff like that. And that makes it so difficult. This is also the first sweater I've ever knit. This is the first time I've ever knit cables. Second time I've ever knit lace. And this is the first time I'm knitting a sweater for him. So, I mean, first sweater for him. But I don't know exactly like how it's going to grow. And this is my first time using Malabrigo Rios on its own. I've used it in another project and it wasn't able to grow as much as it would because it had a different yarn that was majority in that project. So I don't know exactly how much it's gonna grow. My people would say like, oh, what did your gauge swatch do? My gauge swatch did not grow at all, but I was making a very big point to like not unintentionally stretch it. I wanted my gauge to be kind of as true to what it would do like on its own if I wasn't manipulating it, because I didn't want to like I didn't want to stretch my gauge swatch and then be thinking in this whole sweater, oh, it's too small. I'm going to have to tug and stretch everything out when I block it, you know what I mean? Also, that gauge swatch was just 1x2 rib. It wasn't like lace or cables or anything like that. So I don't have like a true gauge of how the lace and cables are gonna bloom and stretch out and lay once they're finally blocked. So I don't really know, but we'll have to see, I guess. I'm just kind of knitting along, hoping for the best. And when he gets here and it's done, I will have him try it on. Obviously by then it will be blocked and finished and everything, so I'll have him try it on. And if he likes the sleeve length, fantastic, then that's all I gotta do. If he doesn't and he wants them to be longer, then I should have enough yarn to go back and do sweater surgery. So I'll either just rip back and re-knit all the way up, or I've seen people do like, where they take the piece and they cut it and then they knit that portion right there and then they just Kitchener it, right? And so then it's just longer. I don't know how that would exactly work in 1x2 ribbing, but we'll cross that bridge when we reach it. Isn't that my catchphrase? We'll cross that bridge when we reach it, or something like that? Because I really am just like, that's a problem for future Olivia. That's a problem for future Ollie. I introduced myself, right? I'm pretty sure I did. If not, I'll have to add something later. Anyways, the Salty Days sweater has been on the needles for 59 days as of today, which is quite a while, and we'll see how much longer it's on. It might make it to 70, it might not. What is today? Today is the 10th. I have 17 more days to finish this, so it won't get past, I don't know how to do quick math. It won't be on the needles for much longer, because I'm almost done with this sleeve. As you saw, all I have left is the twisted rib hem, and then I pick up stitches for the other sleeve, so it won't be on for much longer. 59 days as of today. We'll see how long it goes. Next up on the needles, let me consult my notes. Okay, is a new cast on, because we've finished all the old that you've seen. So we're officially on to the 3 new cast-ons. So first of my new cast-ons are the Home for Christmas socks, which you have, if you are new here, you have never heard me talk about before. But if you are not new here, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. They are the other portion of my boyfriend's Christmas gift. And apparently, I had no intention of hiding these from him because I kind of made this decision to knit these for him with him on the phone. But he has decided that he doesn't want to see them. So, I guess, sure. He doesn't want to see him, he doesn't want to see him. He wants to be surprised. We'll let him be surprised. But these are the Home for Christmas socks. Like I said, they are the other half of my boyfriend's Christmas present. So they also have a deadline of November 27th, which is whenever he's coming to visit me for Thanksgiving and my birthday. And we're kind of making it our early Christmas. I'm knitting them. It's a pattern by Renard and Dormy. It said it on the screen, but I'm going to say it out loud. It's a pattern by Renard and Dormy. I'm knitting it up in Cascade Heritage in the colorway Pine, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, as well as Drops Nord in the colorways Red and White. And that's a 45% alpaca, 30% polyamide, and 25% wool. I'm knitting them on 2.25 millimeter needles in the size large. I don't think it has like the official like size large, but socks are usually like 1, 2, 3, 56, 64, and 72. I'm knitting it in the 72 size. So I guess I'm not showing these for a long time either because my boyfriend doesn't want to see them. So, oh, excuse me, that was a little burp. Okay, had to get my annoying little stitch marker off of them because it'll jingle around and it kind of annoys me when I'm trying to show them. So this is my second boyfriend warning of the video. I'll put another timestamp for you, my dear. You can go here and I'll be done showing the socks. So everyone else that's still here, here is what the inside looks like. Here's what my floats look like. I knit in, if you're new here, you also don't know this, but I knit my color work inside out. So that is what I see most of the time when I'm knitting. But this, if I can get all this yarn out of the way, is what the outside looks like. And ain't they a beaut? Ain't they a beaut? I have some mistakes like, ooh, right there. Don't know what happened there. Oh, and if you look over here, don't know what happened here. Those are really wrong. I tried laddering back to fix them. Didn't work exactly how I wanted it to. It just kind of messed with the tension a bunch. Like this section right here that I just pointed out, this was me trying to ladder back. The stitches just disappeared because it messed with the tension and everything. So you know what that means. We're going to be going back and duplicate stitching. Once the sock is all said and done, we will be duplicate stitching to fix my little colorwork mistakes. Do I have anything to say while showing these? Just pay attention to that section right there. Not my finger. There you go. That section right there, because I will talk about those right now. So now that my boyfriend Jordan is back, hi Jordan, hope you enjoy skipping over so much of this video because you decided you didn't want to see these presents. So, well, one of them I decided for you, the other one you decided. But that little section that I showed you last right there, that is, be ready with a round of applause. That is my first time ever knitting 3-stranded colorwork. Yeah. I'll take the applause now. Thank you very much. That is, like I said, my first time knitting 3-stranded colorwork. I was very, very nervous at first, but it actually was not that intimidating at all. Okay, so my phone just completely bugged out. So, don't know what happened there. But it stopped recording, so I had to reset it, and I think we're back now. But if you notice any differences in shifts of like framing and stuff, just ignore it. We'll live, okay? I don't even know what I was talking about right now. Oh, 3-stranded colorwork. That was my first time ever doing 3-stranded colorwork, and I'm really proud of myself. I was a little scared at first, but it actually wasn't that difficult because I knit continental, so I just held 2 strands like I normally do when knitting colorwork continental, and then I just had my third one and I just kind of threw it English style. So it doesn't necessarily, it messes with my tension. Everything in that section is a lot tighter because it's a lot, there was just a lot happening, and I wasn't as good about messing and being conscious of my tension and things like that. But all it really does, it's not too difficult. All it really does is just kind of mess with my flow. So I just had to be very conscious, very careful, and it just slowed me down a little bit. If you were here for my Halloween socks, my jack-o'-lantern socks, also by Renard and Dormy, you know that I struggled with the increases on that pattern. So something that I've noticed that Renard and Dormy does, a lot of pattern designers, especially with socks when knitting color work, will increase a few stitches to not only accommodate the numbered repeat that you are doing in color work, but also to give a little bit more room and a little bit more leeway with the tension in that area. So she does just like almost a lot of designers do, and it provides increases for the colorwork sections, except that she provides almost what I would call like an ungodly amount of increases. The stitch count for my boyfriend's socks are 72. That is the size he wears. That is the size that fits him. It fits him well, and 72 stitches. So the increases in the pattern call for you to increase a certain number of times, a certain repeat that you have to follow, and you jump from 72 stitches to 96. That is an absurd amount to increase, especially when your gauge is like 28 stitches per inch. What is it? That is not right at all. 28 stitches per inch? No, I am right. Yeah, I think I'm right. I don't know. But the fingering gauge is so small, and if you are a sock knitter, you know that every single stitch counts. It's actually insane that if I were to knit a 64 stitch sock for myself, it would fit like a glove. If I knit it in 56 and I'm not knitting insanely loosely, it won't fit me. And if I knit a 72 stitch, it's way too big. Those 8 stitches make such a difference. So by adding on, what is 72? 96 minus 72, what is that? 24. Adding 24 stitches, you're essentially adding like an insane amount. And so I went through it with my jack-o'-lantern socks, and I struggled, and I thought of it completely after I'd finished the entire pair of socks, that I should have fiddled with the increases on my own. Something that I don't do in knitting patterns that I did do in crochet patterns was that I was totally free to mess around in crochet patterns as I wished. I was not afraid of chopping up pattern. I was not afraid of modifying. I was not afraid to take things out and put things in. I was not afraid to wing it along the way. Crochet just was it made so much more sense in my brain to me. And I've been crocheting for 4 years now. So that's a little bit of a difference too. But I'm not anywhere near the point, really. I'm starting to, and I'll talk more about that later, but I'm not anywhere near the point where it clicks for me and it's second nature for me to like modify a pattern if I don't think if something's going to work for me. I didn't even think to do it on my jack-o'-lantern socks, but for these socks, knowing what I knew because of the jack-o'-lantern socks, I decided to not follow those increases and instead make up my own and jump to the next closest number that was divisible by, I think that repeat is 16 stitches. And so I instead increased not to 96, but from 72 to 80. I had to do my own increase row. I did my math and I just filled it in, right? And I think that is going to fit my boyfriend a lot better. I think it will. Obviously I don't have him here to try it on, but I try them on myself, and I have at this point knit him. This is the 4th pair of socks that I have, right? Yeah, there's the 4th pair of socks that I've ever knit him. So I've started to gauge what they're supposed to fit like on me in order to fit him properly, if that makes sense. They need to fit me a certain amount of loose in order to fit him properly. So I think in that the only issue that we're going to face is that because it was really hard for me to monitor my gauge in that 3-stranded colorwork section, that section might be a little snug to get over his heel. There's still a good amount of room for me to get it over my heel, but I can feel it just kind of stick ever so slightly, because it doesn't stretch as much as the rest of the sock does. So I think that we may have an issue when it comes to him putting it on. And I don't mean that it won't go over his heel. It likely will be, especially with the increases, but it might just, you know, he might just face the tiniest bit more resistance than he's used to in that area. But we are making slow progress. I do need to put a pep in my step into this, but right now I'm just really excited about the salty days. So I know that as soon as the salty days is completely bound off and put to block, that these socks will be top of my priority list, and they will get all of my focus and all of my work. But right now, I spend a lot of my day, free time that I have, knitting on these salty days, and then whatever time I have left, if my wrist isn't too tired, I've been having problems with my wrist this week, which is not great because I'm off of school next week, or today's Sunday, so this week I'm off school this week, so I intend on getting a lot of knitting done. I'll talk about that later, but another roommate. So I intend on getting a lot of knitting done, but my wrist has been giving me a lot of problems these past few days, which doesn't bode well for the week of free time that I have that I want to get knitting done. But maybe not this week, but definitely next week, the socks will be top of my priority list, and they will be getting a lot of my time and energy. But they have been on the needles for 7 days. So, not bad amount of work for 7 days, but not great either. Not the best I can do, and not ideally where I need to be, considering there is another sock to get done. But I'm the only thing really calming me down is that this sock, I mean, obviously you can see in the little picture that I've put up, it's not a full colorwork sock. It's just the leg that has colorwork, and then most of the toe is in stockinette with just that Cascade Heritage pine. And then there's a little bit of colorwork by the toe, but that's like a couple of rows. I think it's maybe 8 rows, I think, something like that. I don't know. It's small. A breeze can get it done within an hour. Okay. Next up on my new cast-ons list is something I've talked about in my fall knitting plans, and I've been itching to cast on. I finally couldn't hold off anymore, so I just went ahead and cast on, even though it is just going to sit in the background for now because I have 2 high priority knits that have strict deadlines. And that, in case you haven't already guessed, is my Clematis sweater by Emma Mayer. So the Clematis sweater by Emma Mayer is like this really, I mean, you can see the picture. It has this beautiful like diagonal cardigan type of vibe, and I want it so bad. And my goal initially was to have it for Christmas because I think it'd be really cute. But then I'm going to see Remy Wolf on November 28th, and I think it would also be cool to wear this to that concert. But with the salty days and the home for Christmas socks, I don't think that it will get done in time. And frankly, I've already come to terms with that. Like, yeah, it would be so cool to wear it to the Remy Wolf concert, but it's not worth stressing yourself out over and hurting your wrist potentially just to get it done. But I am knitting it in Do Store Alpaca Stirk in the color dark red, and that is a 40% alpaca, 40% merino, and 20% nylon blend. So quite an interesting blend, but it's pretty soft. I like it. I'm knitting it on 4.5 millimeter needles, and it had I'm knitting the second size, I believe. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but if I'm not wrong, then it's the second size. So there is almost no progress on this, and I mean no progress. It's curling a bunch because it's just stockinette at first. How do I keep this from... Oh, I dropped it. Okay. I'm trying to keep the needles from clanking. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. See. There we go. Just a couple of rows. You can see there's probably like 4 or 5 on there max. Can I just leave it? Oh, no, it's gonna fall. I thought I could. It looked like it was gonna balance. But here's the yarn. Here's Dew Store Alpaca Stirk. So, like I said, almost no progress is done on it. And no progress will likely be done. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Thank you. No progress will likely be done on a while. It's not a top priority right now. It's not something at the top of my list. It is quite literally just something to have at the end of the day if I still have energy to knit, but I don't have the energy to put towards color work or something as complicated as the salty days. I just want to like have the motion of knitting, but none of the mind like acrobats of knitting. It's mainly just so far the like few rows is just like sometimes I have breaks in between classes at school and I'll just knit then. The only concern that I really have about this is that I'm knitting it, like I said, in 4.5 millimeter needles, but I did not gauge swatch. I have a really bad habit of not gauge swatching. And the label recommends 4 millimeter needles. So I kind of don't want this to be a loose gauge project, but I think it might end up being that. But again, I don't know until I gauge swatch. But I kind of just wanted to cast it on. I kind of didn't want to like sit here and gauge swatch. So we're just gonna wait until it gets long enough to gauge swatch, and then we'll swatch and we'll see if it's worked. And hopefully it is. So hopefully it has worked. Otherwise, we're frogging it and we're ripping it all back. But we'll see how that goes. Like I said, there's not much to talk about it because it really is just a background project. So that's kind of really all I have to say about it. Just my one concern is just the swatch that I didn't do and totally should have done. And if I have to rip back, it is my own damn fault. So we'll see how that goes. But it has been on the needles for 7 days. Now we're going to move on to my last whip. It was originally inspired by this post that I saw where somebody knit this really, really cute bow by Afton Strick. And so I looked it up. I looked at the pattern, and it's called the Afton's Christmas Bow. And she writes all her patterns in Dutch, and this one was translated into English. And so I bought the pattern, and I'm gonna be so honest with you guys, I was confused. I was lost. It didn't really make sense. Some things didn't match up. I'm like, if I'm done knitting all of my stitches, how am I supposed to make one right when there's no stitches on my left needle? They're all on my right. They've all been knit. How am I making one right? So I don't know exactly. But this is one thing that I am a little bit proud of myself. So as I was saying earlier, it's not something that I'm really comfortable with, like hacking up patterns or making modifications or changing things to fit what I want. But I'm ever so slightly starting to in knitting. Something that I do a lot in crochet is that I will want to know how something is made. So I'll buy the pattern for it. I'll read through the pattern. I'll be like, okay, I get the feel. I don't want this though. And I will use that kind of base and I will do it myself. Like I know what shape I'm trying to achieve, but I'll change the stitch, or I'll change if it's like double crochet or half double crochet or something, but I understand like what I'm trying to achieve, and I will mess around with it until I get exactly what I want. So I bought this pattern. I was majorly confused, but I knew what shape I was looking for, and it's fairly simple, and I was like, oh, I can do that. I can totally do that. So I just went looking through my stash, and I had this yarn that I bought last year, literally from the pound store. It was 1 pound, and it's called Knitting Essentials Plain, and it's white, and oh, sorry, my bad, it's the color cream, and it's a DK weight 100% acrylic yarn. So this is 50 grams, it says, right? Yeah, 50 grams of 100% acrylic yarn. It cost me 1 pound literally at the store, and I bought it to crochet like a stocking or something. I thought I had this really pretty red, but I don't, which is not too big of a deal because I have to buy yarn for my parents' Christmas presents, and I can probably just put it in the basket and make it go over so that I can get free shipping, because I'm all about free shipping. So, but I cast it on, and I've just kind of been working it very vaguely. It's curling up on itself because it's like stuck in it. Oh, I hate when these needles just clank. But this is what we have so far. Like I said, it's all just curling in on itself. It's a little bit like a genie shoe right now. But it is, like a little shape like that, right? So I'm about halfway through right now. So right now I'm just going to keep knitting up, and then I'll do more decreases like that. And she writes in the pattern how to make like the little cylinder, and then how to like fold it and tie everything together and sew it all up so that way it all is like sits exactly how it needs to be, and it's all cute and it all is secure. So we'll see how that goes. That's literally something that I have when I'm like on the phone with my boyfriend and we're watching TV or something, and I just need something that I'm doing with my hands, but I'm not paying attention to it. So it's a nice thing to just knit while we had movie night last night, and so I just sat there and I knit it while we were watching this movie. I just knit. So we'll see how that goes. This could be a total fail, or it could work. This is obviously, you can tell by the way that this is going to be a fairly large bow, which is kind of what I want, because I want to experiment with different sizes, because I also want to get, like I said, another red DK weight so that I can have like a big white bow and a big red bow for Christmas. But also, I found this in my stash. Let me find it. There it is. I found this in my stash. This is some leftover stock yarn. This is Drops Fabelle in, I don't know what color, but it's a Drops Fabelle, and Hi, this is Editing Ollie jumping in really quick with terrible audio and everything to just kind of say that I was completely wrong about the yarn. It was actually not Drops Fabelle, it's actually Jarbo Junior Raggy, 50 grams. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but it's written on the screen. It's a 50 gram ball, and it is 75% superwash wool and 25% polyamide, and I got it in the color Bordeaux Red. So, well, not Drops Fabelle, Jarbo Junior Raggy, 50 gram ball, 75% superwash wool, 25% polyamide, color Bordeaux Red. Bordeaux Red. Okay, that was all. Thank you. This is leftover from a sock, so I don't have anything to weigh this with, but I would imagine it's like 30 grams, because I barely used any in that sock. But I'm thinking either I can hold this double, or I can mess around with like stitch counts and stuff and make 2 little mini bows for I do these little ponytail things all the time. How cute would it be if I had 2 little like mini Christmas bows up there? Wouldn't that be freaking adorable? So we'll see how that goes. But those are just, again, background projects, like just things at the end of the night when I'm too tired to focus on a knit, but I just want to keep knitting. Like, I'm not too tired to go to sleep, but I'm too tired to focus on the knit. So just back and forth like that. So, yeah. Do I have anything else to say in that? Right now I'm knitting the white one in 4mm needles, and it has been on the needles for 3 days. So it's gotten minimal attention in those 3 days. So we'll see how it goes. Next week it'll probably be done. We'll just follow along. that is it for my works in progress. Next, we are going to move on to acquisitions. Short and sweet. I don't have any. So we can just breeze right past. So moving on to plans. I just want to finish that first sleeve of the Salty Days, which I'm likely going to get done either today or tomorrow. I'll probably start it today and then finish it tomorrow. And by the time I see you guys next week, I want to be in a similar place with the second sleeve. And then I want to, regarding the Home for Christmas socks, I want to be done with the heel. In the pattern it calls for a heel flap and gusset. I don't really want to knit that. I want to knit a German short row heel, so I'm gonna swap them. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be my first time ever swapping a heel on a pattern. Normally I just follow what it says, but we'll see how it goes. And I want to be done with that heel. I don't expect too much from these socks, but I just want to be past the heel, because that'll make me feel like I'm in a good place regarding the finishing this first sock and the second one. I want to finish the Christmas bow because it takes almost no time or effort, and yeah, it sounds like a lot, but I mean I guess also I could just work on clematis. The clematis will get work if it needs to get work, but my priority, like I've said a million times over, take a shot every time I say this is my priority and it has a deadline, it's for my boyfriend, Salty Days, Home for Christmas socks. Those are my priorities. Those will get done first before anything else. We'll see how it goes. But like I said, I have the week off of school this week. So I'll have a lot of knitting time, but I'm also planning on using this time for studying for finals that I have coming up. So I don't anticipate not all of my time will be dedicated to knitting, but I will have a lot more time than usual to knit. So hopefully we'll be able to get some good work done out of that at least. But yeah, I'm looking at my notes. I don't think I have anything else to say. I'm not going to do a hobby huddle this week because I've just been watching more Bob's Burgers, and I haven't picked up any new books to read. I did finish Wrath of the Triple Goddess. Well, I guess I'm doing like not a hobby huddle per se. You know what? Let's do a hobby huddle. Why not? Why not? I'm still watching Bob's Burgers. I think I'm on season 3 now. And then I finished Wrath of the Triple Goddess. I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. The only reason it lost half a star for me is because the Rick Riordan loves a topical reference. He really does. He loves a topical reference, but the topical references are not lining up at all. They're not lining up anymore, because how come when Percy was 12 and 13 we're singing Hilary Duff, and now we're talking about Beyonce's Texas Hold'em? It's not lining up for me, and it's just kind of like, it makes me giggle when I read a topical reference, but it also kind of like takes me out of it, if that makes sense. And so, especially now that they're like all over the place, it really is just a lot to take in. So, plus also they made a lot of references to Marvel and Star Wars. So really just pushing the other IPs that Disney owns. So, because Disney is the publisher for Percy Jackson. So it just took me out of it ever so slightly, and I know that's such a nitpicky thing, but it's also kind of a goofy thing. So they always tell us as writers, I studied writing in high school and I'm studying writing in college, they always tell us, be wary of a reference. Be wary of a reference because it does date your piece. It dates your piece. Not saying that like the way you speak isn't dating your piece, but putting something that can literally be tracked to a year is really dating your piece. Whereas you can kind of just talk in like Victorian language or something. If you mention a Hilary Duff song, it dates your piece to that year. So things like that. But that was my very quick hobby huddle. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but my voice is getting tired. So I think that's where I'm going to cut it off for me. My camera's been giving me a lot of trouble. My voice is tired. And I have a lot of knitting that I want to get done now. So I think this is where I'll leave you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, maybe even hit the notification bell so you can get notified. Maybe leave me a like, a cheeky little like. I don't know. Thank you is my point. Thank you if you do any of those things. Thank you if you have already done those things. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys next week with hopefully a nearly finished Salty Days and some decent progress on these socks. And yeah, that's all. So go out, be kind, seize the day, and savor your happiness. Bye, y'all.